Hi everybody. Today I'm going to talk about collection type in Kotlin. Collection type mean we have a list, for hash, we have a set, etc., etc. So we have a list, set, and map in Kotlin. So we can talk about this to some of the simple example. Firstly, I have mutable list. Mutable here means that you can change, add, remove element inside mutable list, and the mutable list is using mutable list up function to create a new list, and you have a read-only number is also a list. A list means that it is not mutable, so you cannot add more or remove inside this. So firstly, I add a number to the existing collection using add, and I print light after adding or before adding. So we have a list of number, so run. So we have this number add successful because it is a mutable list. A mutable list can be added to added more element inside this. And what about the read-only number? Because the read-only number point to the same object, and it is the same because it has the same reference. Read-only reference to the number, so after the number change, the read-only number also change accordingly. So it is point to the same object and the same value. So if you add more, you cannot add because the read-only number is not mutable. It is a list, not mutable list, so it is immutable. And now we have a string of multiple set. We have a set of string or a list of string, and inside this we have A, B, C, or D, and you can add or remove, you can change because it is mutable. So you can check that if the list contain a specific letter, or for example contain the string G, or contains the string A, etc., and you can use the contain to check for this object contain another object. Okay, so run. Yes, see that this set not contain G, not contain the string G. So if you change to B, then run, then B. Okay, and after running, we see that this set, this collection contain B. Okay, this is very simple. You do not need to use while or for loop. So you can sort descendingly or sort ascendingly, then using this function sorted descendingly, it will automatically sort the array for you. Yes, and vice versa, we have this DCBA, sort ascending, descending, depending on the alphabet. Yes. Okay, so what about how to take snapshot? Take snapshot means that you clone to a separate immutable object, means that an object cannot be changed. You can back up, you can save, you can back up a collection then to use at this time. For example, we have float mutable list. This mutable list can be changed, and you have a 3 element, and I back up the float list is a list that immutable or not mutable or not changed, and this is cloned from the float mutable list to save to a list, and then you call to list. After calling toList, we have a new toList object has been created that immutable, and it is a backup. It will save for the future to do something, for example to back to go back, etc. Then after calling add, you can add more element inside the first, and I will check the first and the second to okay, okay, you see that it is in separated memory location. The float mutably can be added, and the backup float list not changed. It is in the separate location in the independent memory location. Okay, so this is the way you do to for backing up some of the data. So you can also get the first element or the last element of a list by calling first, the calling last function. First function returns the first element, and last function return the last element inside the list. Okay, so for last element. So right click to run, and you see that the first is 1 and the last is a 4. Okay, so what about the next? What can I do now for the next? We will talk about the filter function. Inside the filter function we have a lambda function, and the lambda will determine what condition can be used. We has a item is the input parameter, and the implementation is item larger than 2.0 float. Okay, and this will check for all the elements that becomes this condition is true, or item is more than 2.0 float. And I print out to the screen about this value, filter and run. Okay, and I see that we have 3 and 4. That means it larger than 2, and then this is a filter function using the input of lambda function. So what about the null? We have a list that contains a null value. So the int is the in question. In question means that inside this we have an integer that can be null, that can be null. For example, we have a null number inside this list, and I print out this list, and my question is yes, we can print out to the screen a null 1 2 null 3 4. Okay, and I want to remove the null. What can I do? You do not need to while loop and remove. You only use this function require no null. You can add this function to here require no null, means that it will throw an exception. It will throw an exception when it encounter a null value. So the require no null means that it will check and ensure that no null is passed through here. And what about the mutable hash map? A hash map something like a map, but we only add okay, we also have a string key and the value pair, and it is a hash for optimizing the performance. So for example, we have s equal to 1, s is key and the 1 is value, so it is a key value pair. And similarly to y is 2 and key value pair. Okay, so we have a mutable map, so you can change by using this syntax to change the value. For change h to 100, and after running, so you see that we have the new value is equal to 100 and y is still 2. Okay, and this is a mutable map or mutable hash map you use to save the value, and we get the value, set a new value, etc. Okay, so you can also use this function set and use this syntax. 2 line of code here are the same, so after running, there I see that the new value is is 100. Okay, and then s and y. Okay, this is